Federal regulations can hit beef producers hard, especially for those raising cattle on federal lands. Joining us now to share some insight on this important topic is Kaitlynn Glover, Executive Director of the Public Lands Council and NCBA Natural Resources, and Sigrid Johannes, NCBA Associate Director of Government Affairs and Federal Lands. Ladies, thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you.
Sigrid, let's first of all start by just telling our viewers what organizations are included in the Public Lands Council.
Sure. So the Public Lands Council is made up of affiliates in 14 western states, basically everybody west of Nebraska, excluding Alaska and Hawaii. So we have partners in the cattle and also the sheep industries in each of those states. And we also have 3 national affiliates, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, Association of National Grasslands, and American Sheep Producers. And between all of those, they make up the Public Lands Council, and we represent the interests of the permittees who hold 22,000 federal grazing permits on Forest Service and BLM land across the West.
You know, we talk about the West, but Kaitlynn, why is this important not just to Western ranchers, but to the beef industry at large?
So when you think about the issues facing Western producers, you have all of the same national issues, the marketing issues, the business issues, but really a lot of these Western grounds are a testing ground for federal policy. These producers, these permittees have a unique relationship. They are in a business arrangement not only with their consumer, but also with the federal government. That agreement is how they graze these federal landscapes. So anything that hits federal land first, your regulations, your ecosystem issues like wildfire or drought, that hits those permittees first. But it doesn't stop there. It does expand to the rest of the country. And so whether you're thinking about the natural resources issues or larger economic issues for the industry, really the West is sort of that point zero.
So Sigrid, tell us just a little bit about some of the key accomplishments of the Public Lands Council over this past year.
Sure. So we operate in 3 realms, really. There's the regulatory side, the legislative side, and the judicial side in court. And we've had some important wins in this past year in each of those spaces. For example, on the regulatory side, we've made progress on getting our MOUs renewed with the Forest Service and the BLM. That's really crucial because it is offering another level of validity and sort of legitimacy to some of the range monitoring that folks are already doing out on their land. And that data is now going to be accepted as the Forest Service's own range monitoring information. So that's very important. And we've also had some important things like the excess and unauthorized use rule that was revised and put back out by Forest Service as part of their larger handbook revisions. That's a key piece of flexibility for folks who are now not going to be subject to those stringent fees when they're not 100% off by their off date. If they're showing a good faith effort to gather, if they're in the works and in progress towards getting off those allotments, they're going to have a much better relationship and a less burdensome situation there with their local range cons. In the legislative space, a lot of what we do is promoting good ideas, but it's also killing bad ideas. And we've had a lot of that to work with in the past Congress, a lot of bills in the wild horse and burro space, and that's a critical issue for a lot of our permittees. The very severe range degradation that's happening due to those overpopulations of horses and burros. There's been a lot of bills floating around to take away management options and take away tools that we really need to be able to keep that crisis not just under control, but to hopefully make progress towards improving those situations on the range. And then in court, the last thing that I would mention is we got a very important victory in the gray wolf litigation that PLC is involved in alongside NCBA and secured intervener status in that case. So now we're able to actually make our own case for agriculture. We don't have to depend on others like Safari Club or NRA to speak for us. We can speak to those unique burdens that face producers and permittees due to gray wolf depredation and make our own case in court.
That is good news. So Kaitlynn, as you look ahead to 2023, what are some of the top priority issues you'll be focused on this year?
So as we stand here in February now of 2023, one of our primary concerns is making sure that Congress, those new members of Congress, but also those returning members, understand the unique segment of American agriculture that permittees face, right? We engage in things like the Farm Bill, but the forestry title of the Farm Bill to make sure that grazing can be used as a hazardous fuels mitigation tool, not just in a one-off circumstance, but as part of that programmatic feature. Sigrid also mentioned that we've been working a lot in the regulatory regulatory space. Those federal agency partners are absolutely critical to the day-to-day operations. So as BLM revises their grazing regulations and as Forest Service continues those handbook revisions, we're going to be right there leading the charge in those comments. We also know that there are going to be things like the waters of the United States, likely rulemaking, different ESA rulemakings and other regulatory activities that are going to keep us, our team, and our producers hopping. But probably the thing that is most important throughout the year and provides the greatest continuity year to year is really advocating for the understanding, the public understanding of the value of grazing. Understanding that cattle and other livestock are not just the food we eat and the clothes that we wear, although that's really important. They also provide an ecological service, those ecosystem services for other land users, other land management. Clean air, clean water, access to those public lands, the ability to go recreate, it all begins and can end with the ranch. And so as we look to Congress, as we look to the agencies, continuing to elevate that expertise, that's goal number one.
It's a critically important message and one that we need lots of people to hear. Thank you for what you're doing in that effort.
Thank you.
For more information on how PLC supports cattle producers who hold public lands grazing permits, be sure to visit the website publiclandscouncil.org.